Imagine this. Thanksgiving dinner. Turkeys steaming, fires crackling, 23 family members laughing like nothing's wrong. I wait until every single mouth is full. Then I smile, tilt my head and say, "So, did the hospital already send the letter for the surgery?" My dad and stepmom actually chuckle. Dad shrugs, carving another slice. "Yeah, came last week. But we used that money for Cole's 27th. Kid only turns 27 once, right?" The table keeps smiling. I set my fork down very slowly. And I say, "I guess you still don't know who that surgery was actually for." In 3 seconds flat, Thanksgiving turned into a horror movie. And what happened after they realized the money they blew on fireworks and champagne was the only thing keeping my little brother from a wheelchair for life. Stay until the end. Because the revenge is ice cold. If you've ever been the one who carried everyone while they laughed and spent your future. If you've ever felt that quiet rage when they called you selfish for finally saying no, then this story is for you. Breathe in. You're safe here. What happened to them when the money ran out is the most satisfying hour you'll spend all week. My name is Elodie Marie Ramsey. I'm 34 now, but the story really starts when I was 24. Fresh out of college with a chemical engineering degree and the kind of naive heart that thinks love is proved by sacrifice. Mom died when I was 19. Cancer. Yes. Dad remarried Valerie 18 months later. Cole, my little brother, was 16, angry at the world, and suddenly had a stepmom who treated him like the second coming of Elvis. I got my first real job in Charlotte. 6 figures before I was 26. And almost overnight I became the family ATM. Started small. Can you spot me tuition this semester? Dad's bonus got delayed. The BMW needs new tires. Can you just put it on your Amex? The penthouse deposit is due or they're giving it to someone else, please, I'll pay you back. I never said no. Not once in 10 years. Every bonus, every tax refund, every skipped vacation went straight into their lives. I ate ramen in a 400-square-foot studio while Cole posted Instagram stories from a downtown Nashville penthouse I paid for. His friends called me Big Sis Bank. They laughed when they said it. I laughed too because if I didn't laugh I would have screamed. I told myself it was temporary. That Cole would graduate, get a job, stand on his own. That Dad would get back on his feet after the real estate crash. That Valerie's medical billing business would finally turn a profit. Spoiler. None of that ever happened. Fast forward to last year. Cole crashed on my couch after a night out. Passed out cold. I noticed his knuckles were swollen again. He'd been complaining about joint pain for months, but every time I brought up a doctor he rolled his eyes. Old football injuries, chill. Something in my gut screamed. While he snored like a chainsaw, I ordered a rheumatology blood panel online, drew 2 vials myself, thank you college lab classes, and drove them to the lab at 6 a.m. 2 days later my phone rang. Private number. Elodie. It's Nolan Beckett. My ex. The only rheumatologist I still trusted. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. It's aggressive seropositive RA. He's in the tiny early window. Start biologics in the next 6 to 8 months and there's a 90% chance we stop permanent damage. After that, lifelong deformity, organ involvement, opioids just to get through the day. I didn't tell Cole. He would have spiraled. I didn't tell Dad or Valerie. They would have turned it into drama or dismissed it as stress. So I did what I always did. I fixed it quietly. I created a revocable living trust. Just me. Beneficiary. Cole Ramsey. Purpose. Medical expenses only. I poured everything in. 10 years of overtime, every Christmas bonus, every side hustle. $178,000. The exact amount Duke University wanted upfront for the first year of infusions. Because I travel for work, I added one emergency clause. Either parent could request disbursement if Cole was an immediate crisis, with verbal confirmation from me and a follow-up email. I never once thought they would use it. They did. Last November, while I was stuck in Denver for a project, Valerie called my private banker sobbing. Elodie's overseas, Cole's in crisis, she told me to handle it. Then she forwarded an email from elodie.corptravel87@gmail.com. Note the number 87. Giving permission. The banker saw the clause, heard the tears, saw the email, and wired the entire $178,000 in one transfer. Where did it go? Cole's 27th birthday blowout. Private mountain lodge. Indie band flown in from Nashville. Custom fireworks over the Blue Ridge that spelled Cole 27. 300 guests, half influencers. Open bar, private chef. Ice sculptures of the Pisces symbol because that's his sign. I found out at Thanksgiving. Exactly the way I told you at the beginning. When I said that one sentence, the room froze. Gravy stopped midair. Dad's face went the color of printer paper. Valerie's mouth opened, then closed. Cole just stared at his plate like the mashed potatoes might save him. Nobody spoke for the rest of the night. I excused myself, walked to the living room, and sat on the same couch I used to read Cole Harry Potter when he was 8. I opened the banking app. Balance, $0. $178,000, gone. I didn't sleep. Morning light crept through the blinds, and for the first time in a decade something inside me switched off. No tears, no panic, just cold, clear certainty. They were on their own. And that's when the real war started. The pounding on my door at 2:17 a.m. wasn't a knock. It was a battering ram wearing human knuckles. I knew who it was before I even looked through the peephole. The porch light caught 3 silhouettes reeking of top-shelf bourbon and panic. I opened the door exactly 4 inches, chain still on. Valerie shoved her manicured hand through the gap first, clutching a stack of American Express statements like a bayonet. You cut off every single one of Cole's supplemental cards, didn't you? Her voice was venom and vodka. He couldn't even buy gas yesterday. Do you know how that looks? Dad pushed in behind her, shoulder-checking the door so hard the chain rattled. The BMW payment bounced, Elodie. Repo notice on the windshield. 48 hours. Cole lingered on the welcome mat, hoodie half-zipped, eyes bloodshot, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Sis. The leasing office taped a 10-day pay or quit on the penthouse door this morning. My roommates are freaking. I'm literally about to be homeless. I unhooked the chain. Not because I wanted them inside. Because I was done hiding behind it. They stormed past me like I was the intruder. Valerie slapped the statements on my coffee table so hard the glass jumped. Look at these balances. Look at what you've done. He's 27, not some broke college kid. This is humiliating. Dad pointed a finger an inch from my face. You don't get to pull the plug whenever you feel like it. This family runs on what you provide. Always has. You stop, we all stop. That's the deal. Cole rubbed the back of his neck, giving me the same puppy dog eyes that got him a PlayStation at 10, braces at 13, and a BMW at 21. Come on, I'll just turn everything back on. I've got brand deals lined up. 2 weeks tops, I'll pay you back. 10 years of memories flashed behind my eyes in high-definition torture. The 3 a.m. Venmo requests while I was on overnight shifts. The flights I cancelled to cover his rent. The Christmas I worked doubles so he could have AirPods and a Canada Goose jacket. I looked at each of them slowly like I was seeing them for the first time. And I said the word I had never once said to them in a decade. No. Valerie's mouth actually fell open. What did you just say? No. Not another dime. Not another payment. Not another excuse. Dad's face went purple. You don't get to decide that. You've been bankrolling us since you were 24. That's your role. You don't just walk away from your role. My role. I laughed short, sharp, the kind of laugh that slices. I'm not an ATM with a pulse. Cole tried again, voice cracking. Sis, please. If I show up looking broke, my whole image is cooked. Sponsors will drop me. Valerie fanned the statements like playing cards. You want your little brother on the street. I didn't touch the papers. He's 27. He has a marketing degree he never uses, a car he can't afford, and an apartment he doesn't pay for. That's not my mess anymore. Dad took one step closer, voice dropping to that low, terrifying calm he used when I was 16 and missed curfew. You think this ends here? You think we're just going to let you destroy everything we've built? Valerie cut in, eyes narrowed to slits. You have 24 hours to reverse every cutoff. Cards, car note, rent, all of it. Or you're going to find out exactly how far we're willing to go to protect this family. Cole just stared at the floor, waiting for me to fold like I always did. I walked past them, opened the front door wide, cold night air rushing in. 24 hours starts now. Get out. They didn't move for 5 full seconds like they were waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, Valerie scooped up her papers, muttering something vicious under her breath. Dad gave me a look that could have melted steel. Cole hesitated longest, then shuffled out. I shut the door, locked it, deadbolt, in. For the first time in 10 years, the house was completely quiet. I stood in the dark hallway, heart jackhammering, waiting for the guilt to slam into me like it always had. Never came. Instead, something colder moved in. Something that felt like armor. The first counterattack. 3 days later. I came home from work to a thick manila envelope on my doorstep. No stamp. No return address. Just my name typed in bold black letters. I knew what it was before I even slid my finger under the flap. Petition for appointment of guardian of the estate and person for Elodie Marie Ramsey. Filed by Gregory and Valerie Ramsey. The cover letter from their attorney was only 4 paragraphs, but each one hit like brass knuckles. Paragraph 1. I had abruptly and without justification ceased financial support. Paragraph 2. I was exhibiting severe mental instability, isolating behavior, and irrational hostility. Paragraph 3. I posed an imminent risk of dissipating my substantial estate and a danger to my own well-being. Paragraph 4. If I signed the enclosed voluntary guardianship agreement, they would limit the proceeding to financial control only. If not, they would seek full guardianship, including forced psychiatric evaluation and control of all medical decisions. They even included a little blue arrow sticker pointing to the signature line. I read it 3 times, hands shaking harder with every page. They had neighbor statements saying I rarely left the house. Printouts of my credit report showing I'd removed all authorized users. Screenshots of texts I'd sent Cole. Get a job. A note from Valerie's therapist claiming she feared for my safety because I had become cold and unreachable. They attached a draft emergency ex parte order asking a judge to freeze every account in my name that same day. I called Claire Donovan, the only attorney I trusted. She picked up on the second ring. Elodie, slow down. Send me everything right now. 20 minutes later she called back, voice like ice. They're filing under North Carolina's adult guardianship statute. Clerks grant interim orders on thin evidence all the time, especially if the family cries hard enough. We have to move faster than they do. That night I sat at my kitchen table until sunrise, surrounded by bank records, scanning 10 years of transfers, every receipt, every text. Every time I thought about signing just to make it stop, I pictured Cole popping another bottle of champagne he didn't pay for. And the nausea passed. By morning I had a plan. I wasn't signing anything. I wasn't begging. And I sure as hell wasn't letting them lock me in a psych ward to keep the money flowing. I sealed my own envelope, thicker than theirs, addressed to their attorney. Inside, one single sheet of paper. See you in court. They went nuclear. They didn't wait for court. 2 weeks later I came home in a snowstorm, arms full of grocery bags, and found a certified letter taped to my door from my employer's HR. Immediate termination of health coverage. Reason: multiple fraudulent claims exceeding $47,000. Stapled behind it: 7 itemized bills. Emergency psych holds. Inpatient detox. Suicide watch admissions. All dated within the last 45 days. All with my forged electronic signature. I had never set foot in any of those facilities. I called the insurance carrier on the porch, snow soaking through my coat. After 43 minutes on hold, the supervisor read the submission IP addresses. Every single one traced to the Wi-Fi of the house I grew up in. That same night, 1:37 a.m., someone started pounding on my door hard enough to shake the walls. Through the peephole, 2 Asheville PD cruisers, light bars painting the blizzard red and blue, opened the door. Detective Sarah Klein brushed snow off her shoulders. "Ma'am, we have a 911 call reporting screams, glass breaking, and a possible suicide attempt. We need to visually confirm you're okay." My teeth chattered, and not from cold. I was asleep. "I'm alone." She nodded like she'd heard it before. "Policy. It'll only take a minute." They searched every closet, under the bed, bathroom drawers for pill bottles. One officer radioed, "Subject located, conscious, no injuries, no weapons." Detective Klein handed me a refusal of transport form. As they left, she paused. "You want to tell me who's got it out for you this bad?" I laughed, a sound that hurt. "My parents." She didn't blink. "We get a lot of those calls. Most aren't real." She handed me her card. "Next time, call me direct." I stood in the doorway letting the storm blow in until my fingers went numb. Then I dragged a chair under the knob and didn't sleep. 3 weeks, 21 days, 504 hours to turn their weaponized courtroom circus into my kill box. I measured time in scanned pages and coffee cups instead of hours of sleep. Claire Donovan's conference room became my war room. Walls papered with color-coded timelines. Yellow sticky notes for every lie. Pink for every forged document. Orange for every crime that carried prison time. We started with the 11 witnesses. Claire hired a private investigator most attorneys only whisper about, a retired SBI agent named Marcus Holt. Within 4 days he had phone records, Venmo trails, and doorbell camera footage of my dad handing out crisp $500 bills in the Harris Teeter parking lot to 3 of the concerned neighbors, who swore I was screaming at shadows. 2 of them folded the second. Marcus leaned across the table and slid the photos over. They signed sworn recantations before lunch. The barista from Malaprops. Claire subpoenaed the cafe's security footage. Every date I supposedly collapsed sobbing in the corner, the cameras showed me. Nowhere. Because I was in Charlotte, clocked in at work. The barista ghosted the follow-up interview. Smart girl. The psychiatrist, Dr. Marcus Tran, was trickier. He had a real medical license, real letterhead, and a real smug face in his LinkedIn photo. Marcus Holt dug into his finances and found $12,000 appeared, wired from an LLC that traced back to one of Valerie's old medical billing shell companies. Claire filed an emergency motion to compel his patient records for me. Boiler, there were none. He never answered the subpoena. Even better. By week 2 we had 6 of the 11 witnesses either recanting or suddenly unavailable. But the real ammunition was Dr. Nolan Beckett. I hadn't spoken to Nolan in 6 years, not since the breakup. I still had his number saved under Do Not Answer. I changed it to Witness. He picked up on the first ring. Elodie. Just my name, but I heard everything. Regret, anger, resolve. I told him everything. The trust, the forged email, the birthday party, the guardianship petition. The silence on the other end of the line lasted so long I thought the call dropped. Then, "I'll be there. Whatever you need." He asked for every lab report, every email I'd ever sent him about Cole, every note from the day he diagnosed my brother. He spent an entire weekend building a 47-slide PowerPoint that read like a horror story with citations. Title slide. Missed treatment window. Irreversible joint destruction in a 27-year-old male. He even brought physical joint models, the kind that click and lock when the cartilage is gone, so the clerk could hear what Cole's future sounded like. The night before court. April 27th. I stood in the empty Buncombe County Courthouse hallway at 11:47 p.m. Security guard thought I was crazy. I just needed to walk the route one more time. Metal detector to elevator. Elevator to second floor. Left past the vending machines, right at the end of the hall, courtroom 2B. I stood in the dark courtroom alone, hand on the respondent's table, and whispered every answer I was going to give until the words stopped shaking. Then I went home, laid out the navy suit I wore to my first real job interview at 24, the one I swore I would never need again, and slept for exactly 90 minutes. April 28th. 8:43 a.m. The courthouse smelled like lemon polish and panic. I walked in alone. No family. No friends. Just me, Claire, and a banker's box full of truth. Dad and Valerie were already at the petitioner's table in clothes I'd never seen before. Clothes I probably paid for years ago. Valerie's hair was perfect. Dad's jaw was clenched so tight I could hear it grinding from 20 feet away. Cole sat directly behind them, hoodie up, earbuds in, scrolling TikTok like he was waiting for a dentist appointment instead of the day his entire future got sentenced. Their attorney, Richard Langford, kept loosening his tie like it was choking him. Clerk of Superior Court Margaret Ellison entered at exactly 9 o'clock. Younger than her photos. Sharp cheekbones. Eyes that looked like they could read a lie from across the room. Langford stood first, voice dripping with fake grief. Your Honor, this is a tragic case of a daughter in profound mental health crisis who has cut off her dependent family without warning. Claire was on her feet before he finished the sentence. Your Honor, this is a calculated attempt at financial theft through fraud, forgery, and coordinated perjury. We move for immediate dismissal and criminal referral. Ellison's gaze flicked to the witness list, then to me. Call your first witness, Ms. Donovan. Claire smiled the smallest, most lethal smile I have ever seen. The respondent calls Dr. Nolan Beckett. The side door opened. Nolan walked in wearing the same dark charcoal suit he wore to his residency graduation, carrying a thick red folder and a portable projector. He didn't look at my family once. He looked at me for half a second, steady, apologetic, unbreakable, then took the stand. Claire started soft. Dr. Beckett, what is your relationship to Cole Ramsey? I am the diagnosing and treating rheumatologist for his aggressive seropositive rheumatoid arthritis. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Valerie half stood. Objection. That's private medical. Ellison banged the gavel once. Overruled. Sit down. Nolan opened the red folder. The courtroom lights dimmed. The projector lit up the wall with the very first blood panel I drew from Cole while he was passed out on my couch. Slide after slide. ESR and CRP levels through the roof. Anti-CCP antibodies sky high. MRI showing early joint erosion that was still reversible. 11 months ago. Then the trust documents. The forged email with the number 87 in it. The withdrawal. The lodge rental contract. The fireworks company invoice. $28,000 just for the skywriting that spelled Cole 27. Nolan's voice never wavered. The biologic infusion protocol at Duke required $178,000 upfront. That exact amount Ms. Ramsey saved. That money represented a 90% chance of near-normal life expectancy and function. That window closed 4 months ago. Cole Ramsey now faces lifelong deformity, chronic pain management, and probable opioid dependence. He clicked to the final slide. A medical illustration of hands twisted by end-stage RA. Cole yanked his earbuds out. What the hell are you talking about? Nolan turned to him for the first time. Your parents used the money meant to save your joints to throw you a birthday party. You needed that money to walk for the rest of your life. Cole's head snapped toward Valerie. Mom! She wouldn't look at him. Claire handed Clerk Ellison the 6 recanting affidavits, the security footage timestamp stills, the Venmo payments, the notary log showing every single witness, signed on the exact same afternoon in Dad's home office. Langford tried to object 3 separate times. Ellison shut him down every time. 8 minutes of silence while Ellison read. Thunder rolled outside like the sky itself was angry. Finally she looked up, voice like a blade. After review of the evidence presented, I find no credible basis whatsoever for a finding of incompetence on the part of Elodie Ramsey. This petition is frivolous, filed in bad faith, and supported by what appears to be coordinated perjury, forgery, and financial exploitation of a disabled adult. She turned to my parents. Gregory and Valerie Ramsey, your petition is denied with prejudice. All filing fees, respondent's attorney fees, and court costs are assessed against you personally. Total due within 30 days. $132,400. Bang of the gavel. Furthermore, pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 35A 1116 and 14 to 112.2, the entire record of this proceeding is referred to the Buncombe County District Attorney for immediate criminal investigation into financial exploitation of a disabled person, forgery, filing false documents, and perjury. 8 months later, the DA indicted both of them on felony financial exploitation of a disabled adult and forgery. Dad took a plea for 18 months probation and restitution he'll never be able to pay. Valerie's trial is scheduled for next April. The gallery erupted. Bailiffs moved in. Dad tried to stand. His knees buckled. Valerie was openly sobbing, mascara rivers down her cheeks that used to be Botox smooth. Cole just sat frozen, staring at the fireworks invoice projected on the wall. 28 grand to write his name in the sky for 12 minutes. The same sky he was about to spend the rest of his life staring up at from a wheelchair. Nolan stepped down, paused at my table, squeezed my shoulder once, and whispered so only I could hear, "I'm proud of you." Then he walked out. That was the only apology I ever needed from him. I stayed seated until the room emptied and the rain stopped pounding the windows. They lost. And for the first time since Thanksgiving I could breathe. June came in gentle that year. Dogwood still blooming, tourists flooding Asheville like nothing had changed. But for Cole everything had changed. The first real flare-up hit on a Wednesday. He texted me at 3:14 a.m. "I know you hate me but I can't move my hands." I stared at the message for 20 minutes. Then I turned my phone face down and went back to sleep. By August he couldn't grip a steering wheel. The BMW had already been repossessed anyway, so it didn't matter. He started posting day in the life, TikToks from his bed, voice shaky, trying to spin it into chronic illness warrior content. The comments were brutal. "Where's Big Sis Bank now? Guess the brand deal's dried up, huh?" He turned comments off after 3 days. By October he was on a walker. 28 years old. Fentanyl patches, oxycodone, gabapentin, the whole rainbow of pills that don't actually fix anything, just keep you from screaming on the inside. He qualified for SSDI fast-tracked because his rheumatologist wrote a letter that basically said, "This could have been prevented." $842 a month after Medicare premiums. That was his entire income. Disability checks and whatever DoorDash he could do on the rare days his knees didn't swell shut. He moved out of the penthouse into a one-bedroom above a vape shop on Patton Avenue. The stairs were hell. His roommates, the same influencers who'd crowd-surfed at his birthday, ghosted the second the rent was late. I know all this because he started a GoFundMe. Title: Help Cole Fight RA. Lost everything to medical debt. He never mentioned the $178,000 fireworks. He raised just over $11,000. Most of it from one pity donation from a great-aunt none of us had spoken to in 15 years, before GoFundMe froze the campaign pending fraud review. Covered 1 month of copays. Dad and Valerie lasted exactly 91 days after the hearing. The court-ordered sanctions and Claire's attorney fees came to $132,400. They tried to refinance the big wooden house on the hill. Bank laughed. Their credit was radioactive after years of living on my credit cards. Foreclosure notice came the week before Christmas. I saw the photos on Zillow when the bank listed it. Same fireplace where Thanksgiving exploded. Same kitchen island where Valerie used to stage her family as everything Instagram posts. They had 90 days to vacate. I never answered a single voicemail. Dad left 43. Valerie left 61. Cole left 2. I listened to exactly 0. I put the Asheville house on the market in January. It sold in 6 days. Cash offer from a couple out of Nashville who wanted a second home with good bones and better views. They paid asking price. I paid off the last of my own student loans, closed every joint account that still had my name on it, and bought a one-way ticket out. Charlotte was only a 2-hour drive down I-40, but it felt like another planet. New job. New apartment in Noda with windows that actually open. New phone number no one from the old life had. I even started going by my middle name at work, Marie, just so I didn't have to hear Elodie and feel that old flinch. The closing on the family house was scheduled for the first warm day in March. I drove up one last time, windows down, music loud enough to drown memory. The Blue Ridge looked exactly the same, mist hanging low, dogwoods just starting to bloom. I pulled into the gravel driveway that used to feel like home. The new owners had already changed the mailbox. The porch swing was gone. Someone had painted the front door a cheerful teal instead of the chipped forest green the first grew up with. I let myself in with the lockbox code. Walked every room one last time. The living room where I dropped the Thanksgiving bomb, now staged with a gray sectional that wasn't ours. The kitchen where I used to make Cole grilled cheese sandwiches when he was 5 and scared of storms, now had quartz countertops and pendant lights I would never pick. My old bedroom was empty except for a generic bed and some fake plants. I left the keys on the counter next to the closing paperwork. Locked the door behind me for good. Stood on the porch, took one last lungful of mountain air and felt nothing. Not triumph. Not guilt. Just finished. Somewhere down in the valley, Cole was probably waking up to another day of pain he couldn't outrun. Somewhere in a cheap apartment off Tunnel Road, Dad and Valerie were learning what it feels like to be the ones who run out of options. I got back in my car, rolled every window down, and let the wind hit my face one final time. Then I drove east until the peaks disappeared in the rearview mirror. Here's what I know now. What I wish someone had screamed at 24-year-old me the first time I wired Cole tuition money instead of putting it in my own retirement. Love is not a blank check. Family is not a lifetime subscription you can't cancel. And the second you make someone else's emergency your identity, you sign away your own future. If you're out there right now paying bills you didn't create, raising kids that aren't yours, keeping lights on for people who would watch yours go dark without blinking, listen to me. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to walk. You are allowed to choose yourself without being the villain. Because the people who actually love you, they never would have let it come to this in the first place. That house is gone. Those mountains are someone else's view now. And I have never in my entire life slept better. Pause, let it breathe. Thank you for staying until the end. You just watched justice get served ice cold, mountain air fresh.